Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I impress everyone with my very niche and obscure knowledge about certain anime, such as one you've probably never heard of before, One Piece.
I'm Sean Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
I knew it was coming, but it still made me snicker.
Ask me for One Piece fact, John.
Okay, give me a One Piece fact, Remington.
In episode 2, when the Dread Pirate Roberts shows up, they actually modeled his underwear first, even though they have that design of just him and his skivvies, but they never show it.
See, because that was because of 4Kids, right? Right, they had to...
Yep.
They didn't want to make it too crass and too crude, so they had to censor it up with some poorly drawn basketball shorts.
But the scenes have been shown that like a few stills are somewhere on Twitter of the original skivvies cut,
which quite frankly is too lewd even for a shonen anime aimed at young teens.
So beyond my totally accurate knowledge of anime, Sean, what are we doing today?
It's going to be great once we actually do cover One Piece. That'll be interesting to see how you react. But that being said, today, Remington, I figured it was time to get a bit weird.
Oh, perfect.
Because, I mean, Remington, last week was pretty,
awful?
Well, I wouldn't say awful, Remington.
I would. I did, just now.
I would say it was a bit, bland, lukewarm, a bit damp, maybe.
Yeah, very, very damp.
So I figured I would, spice things up a bit with a bit of weirdness, but not like something super weird. We're not talking like, high-speed, high-octane anime comedy, because I feel like that would tilt you more than anything, because you won't understand what the hell is going on. We might get into some of those gag series later down the line, but they are in acquired taste, and most of them are not good. But that's fine. Some of them can be just based on absurdity alone. But no, I figured I'd choose something a little bit weird, a little bit new, a little bit interesting from my perspective, primarily due to the fact that I'm not entirely certain that this show is about what it says it's about.
Okay. So it gives its synopsis like you give me shows synopsis.
Yeah, pretty much.
Synopsises? Synopsises.
Synopsinopolis, yes.
Synopsipotami.
My favorite Winnie the Pooh anime. What, you're just gonna be quiet just because I tangentially reference Heffalumps? Is that your response to comedy?
You know my trauma. Insert flashback here that makes it more meaningful. Fuck Heffalumps and Woozles. All right.
Wait a minute. Are you storyboarding the anime adaptation of our podcast in the podcast?
Yeah. Yes.
About your deep-seated Heffalump and Woozle-based trauma?
Yes.
Which I don't think we've ever mentioned on the podcast.
I think we have once.
But it's probably been so long people have forgotten that you are in fact traumatized by the fuckers.
Yes.
But the Synopsipotami does seem like it would fit in perfectly, doesn't it? It just feels...
All right, so tell me more about the deceptive synopsis in the broader scheme of Synopsipotami.
So today, Remington, the show we're going to be talking about is Odd Taxi.
All right, I have a few guesses.
All right, what's your guess, Remington?
First, there's going to be a taxi.
That's a very strong guess. You're wrong.
No. What?
No, you're right about that. I just wanted to...
All right, good. Second, gonna take a playbook from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and say that it's pretty fucking standard. It's not very unusual or odd, is my guess.
Okay.
It's just, you got a dude, you got a taxi, It's a little bit intense, a little bit cliche, and nothing too notable.
So you're telling me it's very common for walruses to drive taxis?
Oh my god, is there a walrus?
Well, maybe. Not entirely certain.
You might have won me over. I'll be honest, if there's a walrus, we could have the shortest part 1 of the podcast ever.
And
like, I'm sold. I don't know if I need to know more. You're like, oh yeah, walrus named Bruce Chan just strolls around in the taxi. He's part-time as an Uber as well, you know, and it's just Bruce Chan talking to passengers. The passengers, mostly just normal people, talking about their lives. But Bruce, he's a walrus.
God, the fact that you pulled Bruce is kind of the funniest thing ever. No, the walrus is not named Bruce. But there is a joke where they talk about Bruce Springsteen for about 3 minutes.
Wait, so just to solidify, it is a walrus, though.
Oh yeah, no, the main character is a walrus.
Oh my god, I love it. All right, 10 out of 10. Here, wait, we can end the whole episode.
That's it.
Wait, all right.
The whole
Hey,
episode,
y'all,
not
it's
even
a
going
great
into a part
anime.
2. That's it.
It's a great anime, would recommend. Changed my life forever. There we go.
Bruce Springsteen, Bruce
10-minute
Springsteen.
episode,
Bruce
done.
Springsteen.
Then we start the shilling. Hey, Twitter, Twitch, etc., etc.
Oh,
Bada
God,
bing, bada
this would
boom.
only be a 10-minute episode, Remington, if you add all that in and cut out any of our random bullshit that's not funny. As much of a baller move that would be, just to commit to that joke, my God, I would love to do that. You have no idea how much I would love to do that. But I feel like we would be doing this show a bit of a disservice if we did.
All right, wait, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Does this show have a huge fan base?
Currently? No.
Hey, man, we can do it! Not many people would be mad!
Well, that's because it's a currently airing show, Remington, and it's a little early to judge these things. Which is why we're judging it on this podcast, because that's what we do.
Fine, I guess we can go the coward's way out, Sean.
Well, tell you what, if you want the Remington cut of this episode, just stop listening now.
See, it's interactive.
Are you still there? You want to hear more? We've already given you a perfect episode, so it's amazing you're still here.
You are now exiting the Remington cut.
Yes, this is the official, the director's cut of.
It's all downhill from here.
Because, yeah, you know, the director's cut sounds good on paper, but a lot of time they put in a bunch of unnecessary things that were probably cut for a good reason. Like, I don't know, Gimli talking about the nervous system. It's a bit strange, but, you know, it doesn't ruin anything, but it's just a bit odd.
All right, let's get to business.
Business? Wait,
I'm
are you
ready.
saying that we're just gonna not attempt any jokes from here on out?
I mean, you can. My cut of the episodes is already.
So you're not even
already
going
done,
to try.
So.
You're not even.
Well, I figure. Let's face it, Sean.
Yeah.
There are those out there who are Sean fans. There are those out there who are Remington fans. That people take sides. And any of my fans, they just listen to the Remington cut. So I don't need to try anymore. I gave them what they wanted, and now it's just your fans getting disappointed.
Rem, why? I'm trying to do something nice for once, and this is what I'm met with. Fine, have it your way.
What's good? All right, tell me more about the show or something.
Okay, fine. All right. So Remington, the show Odd Taxi is about our main character, Odokawa. He's a taxi driver walrus.
Hell yeah.
Yep. And he's just kind of, you know, living his life, taxing folks around, some quirky people. And, you know, just having some conversations. And he's a pretty normal guy. He has a habit of listening to Rakugo on the radio before going to bed. It's like a type of Japanese song poetry type deal. I don't have a thesis statement on what Rakugo is. Just assume it's something a bit weird to go to bed to.
Sure.
And really the only person he can consider as a friend is his family doctor, Goruki, who is apparently a gorilla.
Oh, hell yeah. All right.
Yep, and his high school classmate, Kakihana, who is a monkey of some kind. I couldn't tell you exactly what kind of monkey because I'm not exactly well-versed in the diversity of monkey, but he's a monkey.
Good old generic monkey man.
Yeah, there are a couple different types of ape-like folk in this series. So, you got like the monkey, you got the baboon, and you got the gorilla. The monkey and the gorilla are Otokawa's friends.
Without seeing, I'm gonna just take a stab in the dark and say bonobo.
Sure. Can't think of what one of those looks like off the top of my head, but sure. Cool.
Bonobos, fuck.
In that case, this is not a bonobo. 100% is not a bonobo because a lot of the show is him trying that. Trying to...
I don't know. Maybe.
No. You don't understand. Considering that this guy is... One of the plot points is him on an online dating site, I'm gonna go ahead and say this monkey does not fuck. As much as he would like. But the show is essentially just about Otokawa driving people around, and apparently in the background, a girl has recently disappeared. And
oh, is this a mystery?
This is a mystery, Remington.
Oh my god.
And it's a mystery that Otokawa may or may not be connected to. And a lot of the stuff is kind of happening just around him and his taxi.
Oh hell yeah, dude. I want to watch The Walrus Murderer.
We don't know if he's a murderer.
Yeah, but we know. Man,
Man,
I know him so deeply. Hell, I know his alias. His real name's Bruce. I know all about him.
Bruce Springsteen, the walrus. Look, at most he might be a kidnapper. That's all I can say. Look,
Man, I'm gonna say if I don't end up liking this show, I'm gonna be so emotionally hurt.
So far, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just curious to see where it goes. I mean, there are only 5 episodes out at this time of recording, and it's curious, it's interesting, and I will say, if I had to describe it, Remington, it's like if you took a Gretsuko, right? You remember that one, the chibi cute business comedy?
Yeah, heavy metal Red Panda.
Yes, exactly. And took that and slapped it into a Tarantino film with a good helping of like noir thrown on top.
Okay. Got a lot of interesting ingredients I didn't expect when you first mentioned that there was a walrus.
Yeah, no, which is why it's a bit interesting because, God, the analytics for this episode are going to be very interesting if people actually cut off at the 10-minute mark. I am not certain how that's going to go. But you may have accidentally ruined this episode, Remington, but that's fine.
But it was funny.
It was very funny. But quite frankly, this could be a very fascinating, interesting mystery. And there is a good possibility, Remington, that they're not actually animals.
What?
Yeah, nope. Trust me, once you watch it, you'll get the same feeling I get, that maybe these aren't animals. Maybe the walrus man is crazy.
Anymore. If he's not a walrus, this show loses 3 points out of 10 automatically. I'm just...
As far as I can tell, he is in fact a walrus.
Okay.
But there's just something digging at the back of my head, and the fact that Bruce Springsteen is mentioned in this series, that makes me think, I don't know, maybe. Hard to say. It could also just be a massive red herring, and I'm thinking way too hard about a walrus man taxi driver and his monkey friends. Excuse me, monkey and ape friends. We don't want to discriminate. We've got to be very inclusive here.
Yep.
Oh, also he might have a romantic relationship with an alpaca. I don't know how that's.
Oh, see, you've won me back. You've won me over yet again.
Yeah, walrus X alpaca. That's what does it for you.
That's been the ship I've been waiting to see.
Well, and see it you shall, Remington. So without further ado, let's jump into Odd Taxi.
Up next.
What do you mean? The letter A is a VTuber reference.
It's one of their catchphrases.
What do you mean it's a catchphrase? It's a fucking letter.
This is some of the most low-key racist shit I think we've done on this podcast.
Previously.
Hi, Sean. You stuck your dick where?
Now, back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after consuming 4 whole episodes of Odd Taxi. And in theory, you should still be listening, unless you took Remington's advice, in which case, I don't know who I'm talking to.
I recognize, Sean, the folly of my ways.
Yeah.
Not because I was wrong. I mean, I basically nailed it. But but in my haste, it may have caused people to not actually watch the show, despite me giving such a favorable review. Which worries me, because once again, I gave it a favorable review.
You did.
So I'd hope that would encourage people to watch it.
But the thing is, Remington, once you cut off an episode after like barely 10 minutes, it doesn't really sell it for a lot of people.
I genuinely can't wait to see if our analytics on this episode are totally fucked.
I so hope not. I really hope not. We barely got to 1 million downloads at the time of this recording. I don't want that to be the high point immediately followed by one of our least listened to episodes in total.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, God.
Boy oh boy, is this taxi odd, Sean?
You know what? For once, you're 100% accurate, Remington. You hit the nail on the head right there. It's almost like that's the title of the show and the entire concept.
So, due to how the show is structured, I do not think that an episode by episode discussion is the best way of handling it.
In fact, I would say it's a pretty bad way of handling it.
Because while in the episodes, it sure does make sense. Boy, oh boy, would any listener who has not watched it be confused as fuck.
It's like trying to describe a Tarantino film to somebody who has never seen a Tarantino film.
Hey!
Oh my God, Remington, have you really not seen a single Tarantino film?
I don't think so.
Kill Bill?
Nope.
Pulp Fiction?
Nope.
Well, those are the 2 big ones.
All I know is
Django, maybe?
Nope. He's making 10 movies and then bouncing. That's what I know about Tarantino.
Yeah, like...
Is that, like, that's his thing.
He has a very specific style of film. I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards either.
Alright. I once, when I was very, very, very young, sort of saw Inglourious Bastards on a plane.
So you haven't seen Inglourious Bastards then?
That's the closest I can get. Nonetheless, here we have good old Tarantino Walrus. It should be noted, I do not know any of the names of any of the animals, so I will be identifying them by their animal. By their animal and or role in society. So...
The names aren't exactly hard, Remington. No harder than names we've done in the past.
I don't need to keep track of Walrus's name when he's a walrus. I know Walrus.
This is some of the most low-key racist shit I think we've done on this podcast.
It's not it's a walrus.
It's very speciesist, I feel.
Yeah, probably. But like if I met a talking dog at a party, right? And I'm telling someone about it, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, oh my God, have you heard about Henry? Ah, Henry, great guy. I'd be like, oh my God, there's a talking dog. Yeah. Like, that would be how that conversation goes.
Followed by telling them the dog's name so you can refer to them as clearly they are sentient enough to speak. Conversation can start with, hey, it's about a talking dog, and the talking dog's name is Scooby-Doo. Then you would start talking about Scooby, and people would be like, oh yeah, that's the talking dog. That's how fucking, talking with sentient beings works. We're not talking about like, oh, there was this walrus, and then at the zoo, and you're just talking about the walrus. No. This walrus actually speaks and is essentially a human just in the shape of a walrus. You can't just trivialize them by their species alone, Remington. That's how we got Hitler.
All right, so now that we've got our required 5 minutes of arguing and Hitler reference into the second part of the podcast,
We had to earn
now
that
we can
explicit
actually-
tag somehow, Remington.
Now we can actually talk about the show. And it should be noted, my overall thoughts, I would recommend people watch it, and I'd recommend people watch it before listening to us talk about it. Weirdly, we won't be spoiling a ton, but I still think it's best to go in blind.
Yeah, because a lot of the interactions in this show are very straightforward and not super heavy in plot, but it's the vibe and overall feel and the way we're introduced to information that makes this show as good as it is.
And weirdly, like, the spoilers we introduce may not even sound like spoilers because in the moment it's not like, holy shit, it's just like, ooh, interesting. And so you'll miss a lot of those, ooh, interesting moments.
Yeah, go into Odd Taxi blind and experience the oddness for yourself. That is a very high recommendation, and this might come as a surprise to you, Remington. But so a lot of times on analytic sites like Mal, folks will leave their early thoughts and reviews on a show, and a lot of these shows will be ranked in priority of how many people are following them and watching them, right?
Yeah.
Weirdly, Odd Taxi is probably one of the lowest ones on that list, and I don't think it deserves to be.
The fuck, dude? It's because it's not the standard Weeby fare. It is different, and they hate it for it.
That's actually not the reason at all. The reason is people aren't watching it. They don't actually have an opinion on it yet for the most part.
But that's because it's different. It's not as marketable as the 180th Isekai trash this season that follows the exact same story and characters.
Actually, there aren't a whole lot of isekai this season, now that if I recall correctly. There's a couple, but it's like nowhere near as much of an oversaturation as I'm used to.
And for that, we are grateful.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Odd Taxi, I'm not going to go episode by episode. I'm going to go story by story. So there's multiple interweaving narratives going on. Boy, are they interwoven. And I'll also intersperse my own thoughts. But generally, this is if you blended BoJack Horseman with a psychological noir.
Sorry, Rem, could you say noir again for me real quick?
Noir.
Is that always how you said that? I don't think you said it.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's a perfectly normal way to pronounce noir.
Oh, dear God. I think we've done the noir improv game in the past, so in theory, I should have heard you say it, but
Oh yeah, I love the noir improv game.
Oh, dear God. I've known you for nearly a decade, Remington, and how am I just now learning about this? This is going to take some processing. But at any rate, let's dip into the noir, as it will.
All right, so the main, or at least like the primary story of focus is that there is a missing girl about. And she was last found getting into a taxi. Is it our Walrus Boys taxi? Who knows? And so there's some mysteries about that. We see our Walrusy boy talking to someone in his apartment, telling them that they are free to run away, which is a strange thing to say. The Yakuza is looking for this missing girl and using the corrupt cops to get involved as well. The Yakuza also knows that the Walrus is talking to somebody in his apartment, which, how does anybody know that? That's a bit weird. So that's that thread, right? Mm-hmm. Nice and mysterious. Lots of moving parts.
You could call that like the main overarching thread of the story so far.
Yeah, and obviously, like, the Walrus is at the center because they need to get his camera footage to check up if anything's on there. Thus far, it's, from all that we've been told, it seems like nothing was found on there of the girl, which is nice and interesting. There's the Yakuza, there's like this bad monkey who's trying to make a deal with the Walrus, because he wants to find out information better than... See, now I'm stuck because I don't know the species of the bad monkey's rival. I just know they have edgy hair. But that's not a species. Edge isn't a species.
Edge is in fact not a species, because if it were, Dylan would have branched off in his own personal family tree.
Which is why, but I wrote down this one name, Yano. So Bad Monkey is in a rivalry with Yano. The only name I wrote down because I don't know what the fuck they are.
I think Yano may be a porcupine. I honestly
Oh
couldn't
my
tell
god,
you.
that makes so much sense. All right, that's the last you'll hear of Yano. It's Porcupine Boy now.
I could be wrong though. I genuinely could be wrong. I don't know. Because the style is super simplistic, which means some things can get lost in translation. But if I had to guess, that would be my best guess. Either that or hedgehog.
They're all the same. We know. The
It's-
zoologists want you to think that porcupines and hedgehogs are different. Not true. Don't trust the zoologists.
Oh dear God.
And you mentioned, like, the style of this show, like, the art and the animation, it's so unique, which is delightful. That carries over to the opening and ending credits of it all. Very, very lovely. Love the art. And it has so much personality in it as well. Something else I also appreciate in the animation is that, and this is going to be double layered, similar to BoJack Horseman, the background matters so much.
Oh, yeah.
Background characters are often relevant whether you know it or not. And then even further than that, even when they're not relevant, they feel like they're in their own world where it's not just a bubble, they're fleshing it out. So many characters interacting and engaging, even if they're not important, even if they're total ensemble background characters, they're still interacting like normal people. Effort has been put into them. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and plus we still get some good background brand gags as well. Like my favorite video game company, Soga,
Good old Soga, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so...
with Sonic the porcupine, my favorite.
That's story one. Story two, and now all of these stories get more ambiguous as we go because they're in development. Story two, we have an up-and-coming idol group, right? But one of them is more popular than the others. There's some drama about the other ones being forced to wear masks, not being as popular. The best friend monkey gets a date with one of the idol girls by lying about how rich he is.
On Tinder of all places.
On Tinder of all places. And he's there being watched by, like, the manager and a shady-ass polar bear.
I don't think... I mean, it's not a wrong description, but it does not feel super kosher. I'll be honest.
The polar bear hasn't even been named, man!
Yeah, that's...
Polar bear hasn't been given a name yet.
Apparently he's called Sekiguchi.
Alright, but Sekiguchi has not come up in the 4 episodes. This is the first time we saw a polar bear was at the very end, well, of episode 3, but then they're not mentioned in episode 4, so. That's story 2, and there's sort of like some implications of good old, like, idol culture fuckery going
Being
on.
incredibly toxic and dangerous on multiple sides, yeah.
Yeah. This one, it's starting to be developed through, like, the best friend and the shady manager, especially. There's also a poor fan who is trying to spend all their money on the lottery so that they can give all the money to their favorite idol girl. Oh God. Oh no.
Yeah. But nobody who listens to our podcast would know anything about that. And also, excuse me, I'm going to go watch a couple more VTubers just to round out the podcast, get a little break going.
Maybe go check out some hot tub streams and donate your life savings on those, you know?
That'd be ridiculous. Who would ever do something like that?
Speaking of, hey, check out our Twitch, twitch.tv/anime out of context and /Remington Chase. Hey, plug. All right, anyway, moving on. God,
It's
how
rare
does he
for
do
you
it?
to
How
be
does
shameless.
How does he do it so naturally? You can't even tell that it's shameless self-promotion. All right, so moving on. Our next sort of story, it has to do with the local hospital that our Walrus Boy visits, right? Mm-hmm. This one has multiple layers, and I'm not sure which ones are different stories or the same story, so we're gonna link them all together under hospital.
technically it's more of a clinic than a hospital, but,
Sure.
Because, I mean, there is drama connected to the fact that, hey, you should probably go to an actual hospital.
Yeah. So, there's some missing psychotropic drugs, a significant amount of missing drugs at the clinic, right? And it's implied that Nurse Alpaca may be the one behind it. Then, around this same time, Dr. Gorilla, whose name I don't remember, but I remember it's very close to Gorilla.
It's Goruki.
Yeah, see? So Dr. Gorilla, he's gone missing. We haven't learned much about that yet. And then, as a side note, the Nurse Alpaca is apparently super into Walrus Boy, and by extension, her life is being threatened by the Yakuza to make Walrus Boy obedient. So...
Wait a minute, Remington, this is getting a little complex. I
Yeah,
thought this was supposed to be a cute taxi animal show.
I'll tell you right now, every thread is connected to every other thread in ways you wouldn't expect. Just you wait to hear about how the nurse giving the walrus a nice little eraser is relevant / will become relevant later on.
Wait a minute, an eraser?
It's there's so many fucking layers of this show. One thing I will note, the alpaca and the walrus, they have a really nice scene where Walrus is driving the alpaca, right? And they want to give an awkward feeling, an awkward atmosphere to the ride, and they nail it. And partially the way they nail it is by making the scene last just a bit too long. So it's not boring, but you're definitely like, oh, okay, it's still awkward silence until one of them finally breaks it. And I appreciate that. There's some good touches there. Also, the alpaca can do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and there's an inherent silly soundtrack that goes along with that every time, which is nice. So that's another story. Let's keep adding the complexity. Keep ramping it up. I mentioned erasers. Let's talk about erasers. Episode 4, we're introduced to a cat who, when they were growing up, became obsessed with collecting erasers because they had nothing else in their life. And they already had a fancy dodo eraser, so they were like, cool, head start. As they grew up trying to compare themselves via eraser, eventually they moved on. They got in trouble with their dad by bidding like $100 on one rare eraser. Which the beating is wildly unnecessary, but $100 for an eraser? Jesus Christ.
It's almost as ridiculous as people spending, hundreds upon thousands of dollars on high quality glossy JPEGs and PNGs of their waifus.
Well, strange that you mentioned that, Sean, because this poor cat, when he grows up, he gets obsessed with gacha games. He gets really into this zoo game on his phone that he then spends thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, I believe, on this zoo game.
So what you're telling me that he's not a cat, but in fact he is a whale.
Truth. He's trying to get the dodo in the game, which is extremely rare because it's extinct. As well as he notices that number 1 on the leaderboards is the person who scammed him the fancy eraser. So that's nice and intense. Also, the fancy eraser that he was scammed out of and beaten by his dad over is the same eraser that Nurse Alpaca just gave to Walrus on a whim. So that's interesting. But the cat, he eventually, finally, one night, he gets the dodo he has sought for so long. He gets that dodo. He's amazed. He's astonished. Around that same time, however, the walrus that we had seen in the previous episode comes rushing by in their taxi. I believe they were going to Nurse Alpaca at the time because he was late to Nurse Alpaca's meeting after getting held up by the Yakuza. As you do. So he comes racing by, and the cat has to jump out, and he drops his phone in the drain. After getting it recovered, everything was saved except for the dodo, because the zoo's servers are apparently shit or something.
I mean, it's a gacha game. That's pretty standard.
So this sends him into a spiral. Around that same time, his bird of 15 years also dies. So he's pretty fucked up. He's in his own head. Everything's awful. His one goal that he spent tens of thousands for has just been undone by a goddamn taxi driver. As he's burying his bird, he's looking for a sign from God. And he's burying his bird. He finds the bad monkeys in the Yakuza, his buried gun, and takes that as a sign from God that he now needs to kill the walrus.
Huh. Well,
So...
Now, Remington, this might come as a surprise to you, but if I hadn't seen the show to this point, I would be a little lost.
Yes, there's a lot going on. If you watch the show, amazingly, it's quite well paced, and it makes a lot of sense at every step of the way.
And
which normally shows that are like this busy, they can get quite confusing. This one, not confusing, amazingly, at least not yet.
I mean, we're only
Weird.
4 episodes in, and it's only a 13-episode series, and it's an original video animation as well. It's not an OVA, excuse me. It is an original anime, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So there's not really a source material to bounce off of. So, genuinely, we have no idea where this could go.
Which I love. There's a lot of interesting elements here, and they're so lovingly crafted. There's 2 more things I'm going to note. These aren't fully fleshed out relevant stories yet. These are like their own islands, but knowing this show, they will become relevant, right? And that is, there is a clout-chasing hippo, and then there is...
Clout Chasing Hippo is my favorite EDM group.
The clout-chasing hippo, he's a young hippo, he wants to go viral. The only insincere, like, bit awkward dialogue that goes on, and it's unfortunate because it's one of the first bits of dialogue, is the first interaction between Hippo and Walrus, where the Hippo has a brief thing about talking about how, in today's world, likes and shares equate to human value or some shit like that. And it was a bit too, like, on the nose for my liking. The show usually does better. It's unfortunate that that was one of the first conversations. I will say, at times, the show gets a little bit up its own ass. Normally, it's able to, like, back it up, right? It's able to back up its pretension. Sometimes, it's less capable of backing up the pretension, so it comes off as a hoity-toity asshole. Thankfully, that's in the minority of instances, but it does happen. And then our final bit is a radio comedy duo that there's some, like, dissension and tension between.
Mainly because they're apparently shit at comedy.
Well, one of them is less capable at comedy, apparently, but the less capable one and / less committed one is also the one that's getting some deals. But they make Walrus laugh, so, you know, that's all you need in life.
Yeah.
Also, to all of our walruses out there,
Hey,
thanks for laughing.
I don't think we call our listeners walruses, Ram.
It's endearing. It's a term of endearment.
Remington, those are 2-ton animals. I don't think, generally speaking, calling somebody a walrus is endearing.
So those are all of the main stories. There's also some side stuff, like how the cops they're brothers. They don't trust taxi drivers because of some vague instance with taxi drivers in their past. Walrus Boy, he's had some general trauma in his past that we've had brief flashbacks into. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
Plus the possibility that I mentioned in the first half that, for all we know, they could not be animals.
Yeah, like, are they animals, or is it just a symbol of all of their internal beings? Is Walrus imagining all of this? That's possible. People seem to sometimes know shit they shouldn't. Who the fuck knows, man?
Yeah, not only to mention that literally the only instance of somebody referring to somebody else as an animal is with our Walrus Boy telling the gorilla doctor he's a gorilla.
Which, like, could just be a thing you tell someone. But then also the doctor is worried about Walrus's mental health. Like, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot. It's a lot. Don't know where it's going.
Weirdly, like, all right, so I really enjoy this show, like, a ton.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much. I know I really like it, but I have no idea how much yet. I've just sort of been vibing.
Right.
Just sort of been vibing.
Like, I'm picturing you just kind of calmly sitting and watching the show on your couch, just having a good time. Maybe your girlfriend's with you, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't have the patience for it. But deep on the inside, I'm picturing Charlie from Always Sunny with his Pepe Sylvia corkboard running around inside your head, just going like, but is this connected to this? And how does this all add up? And there's no Pepe Sylvia here. A calm veneer is what's on the outside for you, Rem, but on the inside, I'm picturing pure chaos trying to connect the threads.
I will say, I cannot remember the last time we have watched a show that I've wanted to watch more of as much as Odd Taxi. There have been some that I've wanted to watch more of, but I don't know when the last time it was quite to this extent.
I mean, Promise Neverland comes to mind.
Like, genuinely, Promise Neverland Part 1, the first time we watched it, that may be the last time I wanted to watch more of something this badly. Because I am so fascinated. Don't get me wrong, I would probably wait until the season is finished and then just binge it all. Mm-hmm. But I am wildly fascinated. I really want to see more because this show, it's been so thoughtfully crafted in all of its amazing details. We cannot adequately express how well thought out this show has been up till now. You need to check it out. And amazingly, even though it has all this going on, it still has so many moments that just are character development, that are just relationship development, that are just world building and tone, right? And it's willing to take some time to build those moments. It's really very unique.
Yeah, and more people need to watch it. I mentioned earlier how it's pretty low on the current season's watch count. Just for some frame of reference, it is 22nd on the list currently.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd be skeptical that there's much higher than it, or that deserves to be higher than it, rather.
There are a lot of really good shows this season. I actually had a hard time picking a show from the season to jump into, but Odd Taxi is easily the most interesting to me.
It's so unique. I can assure you, there's very little like it out there.
And that is why I thought to bring it to the show, because I want people to get out there and watch it, because my Christ, we need to support more original anime like this, because while we've been getting a lot of good adaptations lately, things lovingly crafted like this are where shows really shine.
If you want more unique original shit, support stuff like this rather than basic bitch isekai or sports anime number 12 or a great remaster of a classic show. Like, just support stuff like this. It needs it.
Although I will say, Fruits Basket is really good, and you should still continue to watch that. That I agree with you 100%, but the new Fruits Basket anime is still pretty great. But yeah, no, so all of you watching the second season of, that Devil Isekai show that we covered a while back, which got a second season, by the way, Remington, I don't know if I mentioned that. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, remember that one?
Not really.
Big giant elf titties, and a cat girl named Rem.
That does not narrow it down!
Do you not remember the cat girl tsundere named Rem?
One sec, Oh, okay, I googled it.
Yeah, no, it's got a second season. That's currently ranked. That's currently got fourth in terms of people watching it, which is
fuck off.
No, excuse me, sixth, which is still far too high. So, yeah, this is our call to arms. Go watch Odd Taxi, please. Do it for us and yourself. But with that, weirdly enough, Remington, I think that's all we can say about it without having seen more. And even then, I don't know how much more we could squeeze out of Odd Taxi without knowing the whole story. So
yeah, and once again, amazingly, we have just basically spoiled all the important bits, and yet still, if someone hasn't seen it, not much would be spoiled.
Yeah, we're definitely kind of in a Wonder Egg priority situation here.
Yeah, it's weird. Go check it out. We strongly implore you. It's so unique and different. Strongly recommend.
And so with that being said, Remington, I have one final question to ask you. Any chance you'd like to sit down and watch a bit more Odd Taxi with me?
Yes, please. Very, very much so.
Yeah, maybe when it completely finishes, we'll round it out. It's hard to say, because I'm so goddamn curious myself. And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed our confused ramblings on the subjects of animal hospitality and psychosis, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify. Word of mouth is also a great way to help us grow. It means the world to us, every single one that you drop. And if you'd like to support us even more, we also have a Twitch channel that Remington so eloquently mentioned earlier. Twitch.tv/animeoutofcontext or Twitch.tv/Remington Chase, just because, we gotta spread the love a little bit, and Remington doesn't like to be associated with anime too much.
Yeah, I mean, I stream on both, but that's my curse.
Yep. So go give those a follow and a look. We'll be happy to play games and take suggestions there as well. And if you feel like you want to support us even more directly than ever before, you can head on over to patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you can gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including having the opportunity to have Remington horribly butcher your name and or sentence and or reference that he will inevitably not understand, and I'll have to explain to him later. So, Remington, who are we thanking this week?
As always, I would like to send my regards to our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we reach the yandere waifu tier, who hold us hostage in our own taxi until we love them back. And on that list, we have... Okay, for this one, I'm going to slightly adjust it. I'm sorry. I think you'll understand. Week 9 of Questioning My Humor. What would you call a French anime fan? Wee weeb. They only had weeb, and I think adding the wee weeb, it adds to it, okay? just workshopping it a little bit.
I would have gone a full wee abu. Like, just emphasize the wee before the abu.
Maybe. That's changing it a little too much at that point.
Is it?
At least what they wrote.
Interesting. I can't believe we're criticizing our patron on their sense of humor. They listen to us.
We're workshopping. I like it. Improved it slightly. All right. Juliana, try to collab with the podcast. Are we there yet? We'll take note. Trenton Towers, totally God. The world shall know propane. Sorry, mother. On this podcast, especially since my mom does listen. Snap Snips, Scissorum, Sean's Arrogate Week 5, Snow Days, full English voice acting. Scoopy Loopy Boopy Doopy Hoopy Goopy Hoopy. Sarah Birch, Sammy Pritchard, Salty Pretzel, Sequoia Faye, Reverse Gizmo Kismo, Remington, Connoisseur of Anime Titties, Remington Merrill, Remington Weeb, Ready to be Isekai'd. No, I can't possibly say this name on the podcast. I'd rather watch every episode of High School DxD than read this name. Matthew, I listened to all the episodes before subscribing, and all I got was this lousy shout-out drum. Matt, I swear that's not my Joey Wheeler Dakimakura G. Make Sean read the next one.
Maka Chop 92.
Mahu no Pug Tears. Luke Offenberger. Luffy wants more cake, but can only have one piece, but I'm trimmed. Oh, we're getting more jokes. Oh, fuck. Lonely Geek 23.
Oh, no.
VTuber references and one-liners. Juan Jaritos. Jax. Jack of Spades. Ichigo Simp 015. I can't handle how cute our fucking cat shark is. Like, oh god, look at these ears. Look at him wiggle. They wiggling. H-Wood. Hey, Daddy, did you hear about Rem? He's so poggers. Still, that one fucks me up possibly the most. Hanekawa. Gordon Ramsay's secret daughter is my favorite VTuber. Glenn Michael Dolan. Ghostly Bishi, I need more Joey Wheeler in my life. We all do. Fuck of love Foxen Boy. Farmer Weeb wants in Joey Wheeler. Hey, Yogs, who the hell do you think I am?
Oof.
Erica P. Dark with Light. Darkstorm 713, Danny Morbido, Corey Dez 69, Christian Crawford, Cheese Monkey, Baby Bun, Ariel Bird, Apostle of the Church of Remington, Anime Duck, Andrew Sinclair, Andrew Rauke, Elise Howard, Alina May Dodd, Alexander Nacienseño, Albert Avila, and A. Thank absolutely every single one of you.
Slight correction,
So
it's pronounced
many.
It's pronounced ah.
I'm so sorry.
It's a VTuber reference.
What the fuck? It's the letter A! What do you mean? The letter A is a VTuber reference!
It's one of their catchphrases.
What do you mean it's a catchphrase? It's a fucking letter! What the fuck are you
We'll
talking
get into it,
about?
Rem. Don't worry. I just, we got a message and I figured I should correct you. I knew it was that from the beginning, but I just didn't feel right until they were like, actually, it's pronounced like this. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I tried to protect you, Rem.
Moving on, we reach the Boy Wizard tier, where everybody is going to be getting a recommended people also ask question about Elijah Wood, star of Harry Potter series.
It's a good thing we have the disclaimer at the front of the podcast.
That film guy you get, is Elijah Wood married? I'm gonna have Sean answer all of these. So, Sean, is Elijah Wood married?
I don't think so, but if he is looking, how you doing?
I'm not going to say whether Sean is correct or not. Sean is the bona fide answer to these questions now.
Oh, good.
Spicy Log Horizon is one of the best written isekai. Use the BS rule hot take. You are going to get, is Elijah Wood a nice guy?
I can actually answer this honestly, as I have met him once at a convention. He is very nice.
Well, shit. Rare Country Roads is the best Ghibli movie. Fight Me, Kumiko. Is Elijah Wood a dad?
I think he is.
All right.
I mean, I call him daddy
Pilkster,
sometimes.
So you don't think he's married, but you do think he's a dad.
You know,
you
he
think
might-
there's some extramarital shit.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he is married. I don't. You're asking me,
Oh,
am I
go
Elijah
back.
Wood? Do I look like Elijah Wood?
Pilkster, the Symphogear advocate. How much did Elijah Wood make from Lord of the Rings?
Enough.
All right, good enough. MT the poet. Wow, I'm gonna skip these. Does Elijah Woods have a baby? Does Elijah Woods have a kid? All right. Does Elijah Woods still act?
I think he does. I'm pretty sure he does.
All right. We need more confidence in these answers, Sean.
Yes, he does. He likes to act in a lot of horror stuff.
Perfect. Miguel DeLeon. How old is Elijah Wood now?
Isn't he like 38 or 40?
Sure, why not?
Something in there.
Kazu Morocco. Who is Elijah Wood's girlfriend?
Me if I play my cards right.
Hey, I live in Ogden. Yes, that one. Is Zach Woods related to Elijah Woods?
Of course fucking not. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, you know what's great? For some reason, the question has Woods for both, but Zach Wood and Elijah Wood. Like, neither of them have S's, but the question adds S's.
I mean, it's built off of suggestions of people in Google, and people on Google are generally stupid.
I call Bone Drew Daddy. Is Elijah Wood male or female?
He's all man, baby. All Hobbit man.
All right, Hinata is a ball of sunshine. How much is Elijah Wood worth?
Honestly, he's priceless in our hearts.
Enrique Perez Torres. Was Elijah Woods in Harry Potter?
Maybe.
Dedicated sadist. How much is Leonardo DiCaprio worth?
I don't know, but he turned out all right in the end.
Darth Pikachu. Who turned down the role of Aragorn?
That would be Nicolas Cage.
Coney, I'm going to TPN hell when I die. Does Elijah Wood play Spider-Man?
I don't know. I don't know if he has a PS4 and has a copy of it, but I reckon he would if he could.
All right, and there we go. We almost were going to ask, why does Frodo have to leave?
That's a deep question that would take way more than a Patreon shout out to go into.
But we've reached the peak. We've reached the White House. Chef and Amusco, Corey in the house tier, where this time, everybody is going to get just an unsolved mystery.
Oh God. Remington, please be careful.
Nah, this is probably fine.
I mean, there's a difference between an unsolved thing like, quote-unquote, Roanoke, and an unsolved mystery like a recent murder. You gotta be very careful with these things, Rem.
All right, well, I will just choose episodes from Unsolved Mysteries, and it's in their hands now.
Spoiler alert for each one of these episodes. They don't get solved.
They don't get solved.
Yeah.
If you were hoping that these are solved mysteries, bad news. This show will just blue balls the shit out of you.
It's what it's made for, really.
All right, so we have Zachary Shirley is open all 8 inner gates and 7 heavenly breaths unless there's a revisit to Haikyuu. Oh, surely I don't want that to happen.
You don't, because
but
he would
Zachary,
die.
Zachary, you are getting, I feel like the titles, they don't give enough. Well, I don't promise to be good. You're getting, The Death Row Fugitive, which is episode 203. I assume season 2, episode 3. So there you go, Zach. Uncreative Cretin, you are getting a podcast episode, The Shadow Man, which, you know, that's adequately mysterious. Oh, baby, it's about Nebraska.
Oh.
Everything crazy happens in that great state of Norman, Nebraska.
Oh, I hate to break it to you, Rem, but there are definitely way more than just 2 seasons of Unsolved Mysteries.
Are there?
Apparently.
Of the Netflix show or of the podcast?
Yes.
Because there's definitely more of the podcast, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's the only stuff that's available on this site that I am looking at.
Yeah, because there's apparently 14 seasons of...
Oh, God. All right, well, Uncreative Cretin, you are going to get... What the fuck is going on? Why'd the names leave me?
I don't know. Why does anything leave you, Remington? It's because of your commitment issues.
I know that. I'm aware. You don't need to tell me what I already know.
Oh, God. Apparently Unsolved Mysteries, the show started in 1987 and has been going all the way up to 2020.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Uncreative Cretin, you are going to get the mystery of how that show can last that damn long.
Turns out there's a lot of unsolved mysteries. Apparently people are like, yeah, I don't know, give it to them.
All right, thick mullet, thickest mullet around. You are going to get, are only some of them labeled? All right, oh, you're getting a great one. D.B. Cooper. That's a lovely one.
Is it?
D.B. Cooper is a great mystery. Silicon Spectre, you get, oh God, the Stockton Arsonist.
Ooh,
And last but not least, my dear old mum, she's gonna get the Connecticut River Valley Killer.
Oh, God.
There you go, Mom.
Hi, Mummy, it's been a while. I love you very dearly. Here's a serial killer.
I don't know if he's a serial killer. Let's see. No, okay, yeah, it is. He's responsible for a series of stabbing murders.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a mysterious nickname for just one killing. Like, you gotta do at least 2, or the one has to be extra heinous.
I don't know. Ask our walrus boy. I need some back and forth before I can transition, Sean. You've trapped me. You've trapped me in purgatory.
I'm sorry, I'm choking on vanilla Coke.
With your lack of response, what, am I just forced to awkwardly go into the next section? Give me at least, like, a response or a reaction, damn you.
You know, Rem, I don't think I'm gonna.
Oh,
You just gotta go into it. It's fine.
All right. If you want to contact us, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter, send an email over on to animeoutacontext@gmail.com, or pop into our Twitch streams that we've already promoted enough. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys, and as always, don't fuck your sister. I'm a bitch. You know what? The real thing you need to go to bed is a nice big old but never a baby because that's just pushing it.
Bonobos, fuck.